houses are never meant to be entered. They stand alone, silent and waiting, their walls breathing with secrets that should remain buried. But when a group of strangers was invited to spend a single summer inside the Blackwood Estate, a mansion whispered about for decades, believed it was just another legend. They thought the stories of screams in the halls and shadows crawling in the mirrors were nothing but rumors. They were wrong. The moment they stepped inside, the house closed around them like a coffin. And what they would uncover over the nights to come was not just a haunting, but a hunger. The Blackwood Estate does not welcome guests. It consumes them. The Blackwood Estate had stood for more than a century on the edge of Ravenshade, a small forgotten town where people spoke in whispers whenever its name was mentioned. Locals swore the mansion was alive, that its windows seemed to follow you when you passed by, and that if you dared step inside, you would never come out the same. Most people avoided even looking at it too long. But curiosity has always been a dangerous thing. Dr. Marcus Howe, a professor of paranormal psychology, wanted proof of life beyond death. He had spent years chasing legends and ghost stories, but none satisfied him. When he learned about Blackwood Estate, its bloody history of suicides, vanished owners, and screams echoing after midnight, he knew this was his chance. He gathered 3 companions to join him for the summer. Clara Voss, a shy but sensitive young woman who always felt unseen presences around her. Daniel Ward, a skeptic who claimed ghosts were nothing more than tricks of the mind. And Lydia Crane, bold and sharp-tongued, who treated the entire idea like a thrill-seeking adventure. The 4 of them met at the gates on a gray afternoon. The estate loomed over them, its roof lines jagged against the darkening sky, its windows black as empty eyes. The iron gate groaned when Dr. Hall pushed it open, as though the house itself had been waiting. Inside, the air was colder, heavy with the smell of damp stone and rot. Their footsteps echoed too loud against the marble floors, as if the house wanted to remind them they were intruders. Portraits lined the walls, stern men and pale women staring down, their painted eyes seeming almost alive. Clara whispered, "Do you feel that?" Her hand trembled as she clutched the banister. "No," Daniel scoffed. "It's just an old house." But Lydia smirked. "Then why do I feel like it's watching us?" Dr. Halley ignored them and lit a lantern, his excitement overwhelming his fear. "Remember this moment," he said. "Tonight, we begin history." The group set up in the grand parlor, a cavernous room with a cracked chandelier swaying slightly, though no wind stirred. Dust coated every surface, yet the fireplace smelled faintly of smoke, as if someone had been there before them. Clara swore she heard whispers curling through the walls, too faint to understand, but undeniably present. They unpacked their equipment, tape recorders, cameras, notebooks ready to spend weeks inside. Daniel laughed at the idea. "We'll be bored in 3 days," he said. But when he turned to look at the window, his voice faltered. For just a second, he thought he saw a pale hand press against the glass from outside, though they were 3 stories up. The group froze as a long groan rolled through the house, like wood shifting under an unseen weight. Then came 3 distinct knocks deep, deliberate echoing down the empty hallway. Dr. Hale's lantern flickered violently. Clara whispered, "It knows we're here." And with that, the night in Blackwood Estate truly began. The first night in Blackwood Estate was restless. Though each of them had their own room, sleep never truly came. The air pressed down heavy, the silence broken only by creaks in the floorboards, and the distant groan of pipes that hadn't carried water in decades. But sometimes, the sounds were not mechanical. They were voices. Clara awoke first, heart racing. She was sure someone had whispered her name right into her ear. She sat up, eyes scanning the shadows, only to find her door wide open. She remembered closing it. Slowly, she stepped into the hallway. The walls seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting like the chest of something alive. She could hear faint laughter, childlike, distant echoing from the far end of the corridor. Meanwhile, Dr. Hawley scribbled notes furiously in his study. His tape recorder, left running in the parlor, captured faint murmurs. When he replayed them, the words were unclear, but the tone was unmistakable anger, like something was warning them to leave. Instead of fear, Hale's eyes gleamed. "Proof," he whispered. "At last." Lydia wandered the halls with her camera, treating it like a game. But when she turned a corner, the lens caught something her eyes did not. A figure tall, thin, standing at the end of the hall, pale, motionless. When she lowered the camera, the hall was empty. Raising it again, the figure remained, closer now, its head tilted unnaturally. She dropped the camera, heart pounding, but by the time Daniel arrived, nothing was there. He scoffed. "You're letting this place get in your head." Yet even as he spoke, he could not shake the image of the hand he had seen earlier against the glass. As the night deepened, the house grew colder. Paintings on the walls seemed to shift when no one looked directly at them. Doors slammed on their own. Somewhere in the distance, a piano played 3 low notes, though no one had touched the keys in years. At midnight, the group gathered in the parlor, shaken but unwilling to admit it. Hawley insisted they conduct a séance, convinced the estate was trying to communicate. Clara refused at first, but Lydia taunted her until she agreed. They formed a circle, candles flickering in the stale air. Dr. Hale's voice rang steady as he called into the dark. "If there is anyone here, speak." At first, silence. Then the table beneath their hands began to tremble. The candles bent backward as though someone exhaled sharply across them. Clara's eyes rolled shut, her lips moving with words not her own. A guttural voice rasped through her throat. "You should not have come here." Daniel yanked his hands away. "Stop this, she's faking." But Clara's body jerked violently, her chair scraping across the floor as unseen hands pulled her backward. Her scream pierced the walls before cutting off into silence. When the others rushed to her, she was gone. Only her chair remained, rocking slowly in the dark. Parlor was silent except for the creak of Clara's empty chair. Lydia's face was pale, her bravado stripped away. Daniel muttered curses under his breath, pacing like a trapped animal. Dr. Hall, however, leaned forward with wild eyes, scribbling notes as though he had just witnessed the greatest discovery of his life. "We have to find her," Lydia whispered. "Find her?" Daniel snapped. "She vanished into thin air." "This isn't some parlor trick. Hale, your obsession has gone too far." But Hawley ignored him. "The house has taken her," he said with a kind of awe. "She is here, within these walls. Don't you understand? She's proof." They split up reluctantly, searching the endless corridors of Blackwood Estate. The deeper they wandered, the less the house made sense. Hallways looped back on themselves. Doors opened to bricked walls. Stairs led nowhere. It was as if the mansion twisted itself, trapping them in its labyrinth. Lydia, camera trembling in her hands, heard a faint sobbing. She followed it, her steps echoing in the dark until she reached a locked door. Pressing her ear against it, her blood froze. Clara's voice was on the other side, whispering her name. "Lydia, Lydia, help me." She pounded on the wood, but when Daniel arrived and forced the door open, the room was empty. Only a cracked mirror remained, its surface rippling like water. For a heartbeat, Lydia swore she saw Clara's reflection staring back at her, lips moving soundlessly. Meanwhile, Daniel wasn't holding together as well as he pretended. He heard footsteps behind him wherever he went, heavy and deliberate, matching his pace. Once, he spun around fast enough to catch a glimpse of a shadow darting across the wall, long, thin limbs, too tall to be human. Sweat dripped down his face, though the air was freezing. Dr. Hall descended into mania. He believed Clara was alive, but transformed, merged with the house. He spoke into his recorder constantly, muttering theories about consciousness, energy, and hunger. "This house isn't haunted," he whispered. "It is the haunting." The night deepened. The estate grew restless. Doors slammed shut behind him with bone-shaking force. The portraits lining the halls twisted, painted smiles warping into snarls. From the parlor, a piano struck 3 low notes again and again, though no one was near. Then they saw her. At the far end of the corridor stood Clara. Her dress was torn, her hair falling over her face. Her skin was pale as paper, her eyes black voids where pupils should be. She tilted her head slowly, the way a doll might when broken. "Clara!" Lydia screamed, rushing forward, but in a blink, Clara stepped backward into the wall itself and was gone. The house groaned in triumph, as though feeding on their despair. Every door around them slammed shut at once. Windows shattered inward. The candles extinguished, plunging them into absolute blackness. And in that suffocating dark, they all heard Clara's voice again, whispering from everywhere at once. "You can't leave. You belong to the house now." The darkness inside Blackwood Estate was absolute. Their breaths came quick and shallow, hearts pounding in unison with the groaning walls. Daniel fumbled for a match, but before he could strike it, a cold hand brushed his shoulder. He screamed, swinging blindly. Nothing was there. The walls themselves seemed to close in, the corridors twisting tighter like the ribs of a living creature. From every corner came Clara's voice, soft and broken. "Stay. Stay with me forever." Lydia clutched Daniel's arm, her bravado gone. "She's not Clara anymore," she whispered. "She's part of it. The house took her. Dr. Hall refused to accept it." He shouted into the void, "Show yourself. Give her back." His words echoed endlessly, swallowed by the mansion's hollow lungs. Then, for the first time, the house answered. The floor split beneath him with a sound like cracking bones. Hands pale, countless, writhing, reached up from the darkness and pulled him down screaming. His recorder clattered to the floor, still running, capturing his final cries. Daniel and Lydia ran, though every door betrayed them, every hallway led them deeper. At last, they burst into the main foyer, the front door yawning open as though mocking them. Freedom lay just beyond. Daniel sprinted, but as he crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut with a deafening boom. Only Lydia stumbled outside, collapsing in the overgrown grass, gasping for air. When she turned back, the estate stood silent, its windows black and empty once more. Daniel was gone. Years later, townsfolk still whisper that if you stand at the gates of Blackwood Estate at midnight, you can hear them inside, the screams of Dr. Hawley, Daniel's desperate pounding, and Clara's soft, endless whisper, "Welcome home."